Uh, as we can see here, this is our presentation on global climate, and it's about the ocean acidification due to global warming. Yeah, so it's kind of depressing. So let me do this part. So there is clear evidence that the oceans are being acidified, and it's pretty simple what's happening. It's essentially the increase of acidity on a pH, which should be the decrease of a pH, which is more acidic, due to many reasons such as carbon emissions and all. Ocean acidification is the increase of acidity in the waters of the world. Ever since the dawn of the Industrial Revolution, when humans started emitting fossil fuels into the atmosphere, the ocean started to absorb more carbon, which made the ocean have more carbon. The carbon turns into carbonic acid when touched water, which makes the ocean more acidic. This started to happen around the 1800s. Okay.
So yeah,
Oh, we go back.
this is just the ocean acidity, how it went up like from the 1800s to the 2000s, and then
It's a pretty drastic spike, as you can
yeah,
see.
and in here the
Sorry.
you
can see an increase.
You can see an increase, and this is the global temperature, so it proves that the ocean acidity is caused by global climate change.
Yeah. Okay. How is this an issue exactly? As the ocean temperature rises due to these carbon fuels being emitted into the atmosphere, which is essentially the greenhouse effect, what happens is that less of carbon is being absorbed by the ocean when the ocean gets hotter. So what happens is that when carbon fossils fuel emissions are being emitted into the atmosphere, some of these emissions go into the ocean, which are absorbed, which kind of helps us because if it wasn't absorbed into the ocean, it would be massive because we'd have way more carbon in the air.
But when the temperature rises, then the ocean absorbs less. It absorbs less carbon, so it's
more of the load from that carbon is being put onto the atmosphere, which is going to increase the rate at which our temperature is climbing in the atmosphere. So what exactly causes?
As carbon is emitted into the atmosphere, about 1/3 is absorbed by the ocean. But due to the breakdown on the atomic level, when water and carbon dioxide meet up, they break up hydrogen that makes carbonic acid, which causes the acidity to rise or the pH to drop. Yeah.
Is there anything here? No, there's no animations. Oh yeah, that. So how is the next issue exactly? Is that, well, many of the ocean's environment, including animals, coral, plants, and all, are used to this normal pH levels, but as they drop, it can cause massive problems with them. So lower pH in an environment can devastate life forms and all ecosystems of the ocean. Shells are dependent on carbon, which when they don't receive the proper amount, like the usual higher pH, they spend way too much time
to find more of the things things that they need, which the carbonic acid actually also takes.
Yeah. So it's taking it away from what the shells and animals need to produce. So what happens is these shells are going to be weaker, and they're going to die off as time, due to just not having a protective shell to them, which protects them. And how this is going to affect the environment more, because this is going to break out the food chain. This is going to take out a lot of these animals from the food chain, which is going to hurt other animals that depend on these shells that they eat off. Not shells, but animals in the shells. They won't have enough food, and then the next animal on the food chain is not going to have enough, and it's going to be this big cycle, which is going to devastate it. So, well, this affects the environment a lot, but how does it affect us humans?
So 1 out of 7 people depend on seafood fished from the world's oceans as part of their diet. The creatures with shells have to compete with carbonate ions to make their shells. This is what Skylar was saying earlier. When it's harder to get the carbonate ions, they have to spend
Yeah,
a lot more energy to get their shells, which means less time to get food.
yeah. So they're gonna die off.
More than die because they can't get their food and the shells, so they have to pick one.
It's kind of
Um,
redundant.
so then there's less food, and then less food for the food chain, which means the predators die, and just less fish and organisms in general there. So yeah, a third of the population, or no, 1/7 of the population will have trouble getting more seafood that they depend on to survive.
If this problem continues, a lot of the seafood and how like a lot of this business around it, a lot of the people who depend on this, they're not gonna have enough food. It's gonna take out a big major asset of food that people eat. Yeah,
Yeah. Oh yeah. Something else.
yeah.
Coral reefs get bleached when the pH drops. So not only does the temperature affect the coral reefs, but now it's getting acidified, and then it's
The,
dying off. Like in
the
this picture here,
yeah.
there's only like all of it's dead.
Okay. So yeah, this might seem all grim and dark, but we still have a chance, and we can still do things to prevent it. So we can like reverse a lot of these things and help prevent more from affecting these oceans by using more fuel efficient energy, not fuel efficient, but eco friendly alternative energies like renewable energies, nuclear energy. Like with renewables, you have wind, solar, hydroelectric, and geothermal, which are all don't produce and not like they don't produce enough carbon to have an effect on our environment. But also not just energy. We can start eating a lot less meat, which would help us a lot. So and but like how does that? So a lot of these meats come from animals, and they depend on tons of carbon based resources, water, all that. And by just having less meat, uh, we can reduce the demand for
Yeah,
a lot of carbon.
because a lot of cows produce methane by tooting, so by farting, so that and that's a very effective greenhouse gas. Like it keeps a lot of the gas in the atmosphere,
Hmm.
which like it's very bad for the temperature because it rises a lot.
Hmm.
So if we eat less meat, if we like stop making so many cow farms, then it kind of reverse the effects of the
Hmm.
all this
Over time, the
acidification.
environment will heal itself, and
Yeah.
so because if we start acting stronger for the environment, we can help end this. Oh yeah, we also